Alright, thank you very much for clicking on the video. This is Gulpane back again. Just a very quick review of this PSP game, which is Mortal Kombat. And basically, when I looked at this first, I thought it was just from the title. I didn't realise it, or didn't think it was one of the mainline Mortal Kombat games. But it is like I believe it's like a remake or a transfer or a port of one of the mainline games. But it's got a few extra modes in it, which I'm not sure. I need to do a little bit more research on this before I do it, because I just played it today. I'm just giving my initial thoughts on what the game is like. So this one is it's got a lot of different modes. It's not as good as, it's sort of that midpoint between like the old Mortal Kombat games, which were sort of pretty, the old Mortal Kombat games were pretty good. Like Mortal Kombat 1 is very good and Mortal Kombat 2 is very good. Then Mortal Kombat 3 is okay, and then whatever, I lost track of whatever the ones after Mortal Kombat 3 are. There's loads of them where they have like loads of characters and all that. And then when they do the Mortal Kombat 3D games, those are really bad. And then they go the ones that are actually like Tekken or something, or I don't know, this is sort of like that, but it still kind of feels like it's 2D. This one feels a bit more like the modern Mortal Kombat games. So this one is like in between the modern ones and the old-fashioned ones, which, I don't know, the in-between bit between the old-fashioned and the modern I didn't think was very good at all. Like the 3D, where you're on the 3D plane, and this one is sort of like it, but you can still kind of play it as like a 2D, if that makes any sense whatsoever. The 2D old-fashioned like Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, Mortal Kombat games, arcade games, they're a certain style, a 2D style, but the current Mortal Kombat games are also that sort of 2D style as well, even though all the graphics are in 3D. But there was a period of time where Mortal Kombat was like 3D, like Tekken and Virtua Fighter, those sort of games, and that was not good. In my opinion anyway. I didn't enjoy those sort of games at all. I did enjoy Tekken, and I did enjoy like Battle Arena, Toshin, then those sort of games, but the Mortal Kombat and the Street Fighter, they did not do it well at all. So we've got a few different sort of modes here. So we've got just the straight up arcade mode, which is where, like, the classic Mortal Kombat, where you have to defeat all the enemies and then get to the boss, which is normally like got 4 legs or 4 arms, and then you get to like the main boss. Then you've got these sort of like Tetris type games, where it's like puzzle combat, where you pick your character, and it's almost like the super deformed kind of Street Fighter puzzle fighter, where your character is like really small, they look like a child, but they're still like, I always found it strange how they look like children, but they're still fighting each other. So like, very, very strange. But this one is like I don't know, it's like a Tetris or something like that. Then you have this Conquest mode, which is also kind of, you run around and have to find like chests and stuff, and I didn't really get much into it because it was kind of like you have to do a load of training, and it seemed a bit boring, to be honest. It just seems like a kind of an area where there's not that much, or there's not that much to do. So again, I'm just kind of, the meat of the Mortal Kombat for me is when you play the single player arcade mode. That's where I enjoy it the most. And then there's also the chess mode as well, where you basically pick your characters, and then they're like part of the chess game. And then you've got like, I don't know, you play a game of chess, well, kind of a game of chess, and then every time you go to take another chess piece, basically the characters have a fight, and then you have to fight those, so you have to do the one-on-one fighting, which I think is an excellent idea. I think there needs to be just sort of like, with these fighting games, I think Mortal Kombat here, the PSP one, is going the right direction. Obviously the new Street Fighter one has a sort of a, like an open area as well, where you go and fight and stuff. Kind of like the way Art of Fighting did it, where you like, there was a little bit of story as to why you were actually fighting the person, not just like there's a tournament and you have to like fight these people, and there's 2 brothers or 2 sisters and they're fighting each other. It doesn't really make sense. So the way kind of Art of Fighting did it was, you were trying to find this girl and you were going around to different places fighting people to get information. That was a good idea. But where Street Fighter, Tekken, all the rest of them do it, there's no real point. This is where sort of like the new, like the new Mortal Kombat games, they have like a point to actually fighting people, and you're in the story, and then you take a character and then you fight that particular scrap, or that particular fight, and then there's another piece of story, and then you take a different character and then you fight that particular fight as well. So I think that's a lot better than just the, even though arcade modes are fun, but I think that's a lot better if the game's going to have sort of like a bit of longevity. Arcade mode is fine, obviously, for arcade, but not for kind of home release, for me anyway. I think obviously versus is the way forward in these games, but yeah, I like that little kind of story bit, and the chess bit here. That was a kind of an experiment which I think kind of worked out really well, because the chess mode was the one that I played the most in this, when I was giving it a go. So you pick your characters, and then you have your king and your queen, and then your rook and your bishop and all that, and you move them around, and then you have a little fight. But like, depending on where you are on the board, your characters will be overpowered or underpowered, or they'll start with a certain amount of health, or start with kind of a disadvantage or an advantage. So I thought that was really good. So Mortal Kombat for the PSP. It's actually, I'm glad I played it, and I'm glad I kind of bought it and stuff. So kind of, I do enjoy it, but it's not one of my favourites, but it's still pretty good. So if you played this game, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.